Welcome there on your receiving devices there out in the internet. Welcome to another breaking news episode here during our probably lunch break, I would say. Also the YouTube notifications, some people ask why don't you start a YouTube notification, somehow doesn't work the most reliable, at least not for me. Tried this, I didn't see this, so yeah, not really sure if it's really that worthwhile to announce and start streaming before we actually go live, which by the way probably should shortly check. Monetize public, yeah. Anyway, looks okay. So some breaking news. We made already probably at least 2 live streams, maybe nearly a year, 6 months, 8 months ago, and 2 or 3 days ago in regards to our situation after but also our company's, my 20 years, my company's over a decade situation of not making much money with open source. And here's some other data point. Here in the news, allegedly, apparently, some opinion or hearsay, allegedly, in a leaked internal memo, Docker CEO reveals the troubled company is looking for more money. And there you see even, I would say, somewhat the flagship open source or lantern outstanding open source companies like Docker, like the big new latest and greatest stuff in the industry, not our small unsuccessful one-man Linux stuff or exact image or all the other fun stuff that we do. Even industry leaders, Docker, the technology, the poster child for containers, but it appears Docker, the business, is in trouble. In a leaked memo, Docker CEO Rob Burden praised workers despite uncertainty, which brings with its significant challenges, and lack of clarity about what sounds close to the sources close to the company say simple: Docker needs more money. And what is a little bit surprising for maybe you or me or all of us, according to this article, with some grain of salt but most likely somewhat accurate, Docker has already raised 272.9 million. And for me, it's often surprising how little you get for this money. You get, well, Docker, and they also do this since 2013 or so. So some 5 years, 6 years, and venture, kind of a superstar. And so you get surprisingly little for this money, because when you take a look what Docker really is, it's just a package and application and its dependencies for virtual containers to run on a Linux server, also in the latest years also on Windows. And this can help enable flexibility, portability, how and where applications can run, whether on-premise, public cloud, private cloud. But we did not really need Docker for this, right? So earlier there was just change root for some light virtualization or containers. Later, of course, security enhanced Linux, namespaces, C groups. And this are, of course, those features that Docker use. And I don't think they have invented them. As far as I know, they probably came before Docker. And there was even one feature that was CPU. What was it even? Once upon a time, there was some Linux kernel developer who wanted to sell CPU time. There's some, what even was this feature name? This was a really funny feature. Whatever that was. Anyway, so that was a really, really early kind of container of pure processing CPU virtualization. If you remember what this was, if I could Google this, but we are live here. So so you see even the greatest companies, venture capital startup, hyped and adopted by Microsoft, they're on Windows, not successful in this. They are not profitable, which is somewhat of a surprise, but there you see also the difference between small companies, medium-sized companies who grow naturally, and those venture capital backed stuff that has a very high chance of not being profitable, because basically they burn all their cash on features and marketing and stuff, and at the end they don't even have enough customers to sustain this. For 290 something millions, I certainly would build a whole microkernel operating system, not only one small Docker part. This is really surprising how much money, in my opinion, you can burn on this single components. Also the track record, I personally don't really use Docker. Maybe leave me in the comments below. Do you use Docker? If you look into the vulnerabilities, there have been quite some with even sometimes allows remote attackers to execute arbitrary code. Yeah, exactly what you have a container for, right? There's also runs through 1.0 reskin 6 use Docker before 18.09.2 and other products allows attackers to override host runc binaries and consequently obtain host root access. Amazing technology. And Docker Desktop Community Edition before 2.1.01 allows local users to gain privileges by placing a Trojan host Docker credential WinCredExe in program data Docker desktop version. Amazing Windows stuff, by the way. That's exactly why I want to run this on Windows. So yeah, in general, it's not even, if you think about this, for 290 also, we even need to fact check this, not to 272 million, you certainly could, wrong news, you could write a whole kernel, microkernel, whatever, a whole system virtualization stuff like VMware, but just this lib container with Docker, I'm not really sure if that was the very best investment. But leave me in the comments below what you think about the situation. Do you use this? Is it amazing? Christian is there in the audience and has a comment. Let's pop up and zoom that. Also, yes, slightly annoying. Oops, wrong focus. Zoom here. And so Christian used this and for a short while, but Hyper-V disabled acceleration for other hosts, so VMware is unusable while it's enabled. Okay, yeah, that does not sound the most amazing. And just a recurring theme, just another data point here, especially on the how not to make money with open source. Apparently, also the other thing, just like with my own customers, fun fact, I didn't hear back them. I didn't answer the most friendly emails you can imagine after such long telephone and email discussions with always only but this, not even clear. I pay you 2 hours. I fixed this like kind of for free for exact image. And so as a fun fact, I sent my not customer fixed in revision something which was only compiling with latest compilers. Actually, there was a box scaling bug. Okay, fixed in revision something, and the only email I got back is I can't find the subversion repository on your website. It's like, yeah, thank you very much. While it's true you couldn't find, we simplified and remodeled our website. It was indeed not listed on the website, but nothing some DuckDuckGo search would not have found. Beside, if you use our open source component for 15 years, maybe you have the subversion repository handy, but yeah, whatever. So you even need for free, you're not customers, point them to not finding it with Google or SVN, yeah, because it's so super far away here, the subversion repository, you name it. In more amazing news, the Empire, aka TSMC, fights back. We had this in previous news a couple of months ago. Global Foundries sued TSMC. I said already back in the day, probably not the best money spent on this case, because usually there is not much gain. In my opinion, they should just have focused on their process nodes and got their silicon wafers to the masses, but whatever. And of course, patent lawsuits being patent lawsuits, TSMC fights back in USA, Germany and Singapore. Why Germany? Because Global Foundries still has the fab running there. Actually, I looked this up the other day, still of the, actually two, according to Wikipedia, 230 centimeter, 300 millimeter wafer fabs with apparently relatively good process. Well, good was it? Maybe even approaching 14 nanometers or whatever that is, or 22 or whatever. Anyway, one of the better fabs of Global Foundries still in Germany, Dresden there. So Shinju, by the way, fun fact, been there, done that. So Fun fact, previous Fisher Village, that is what you get with industry funding, develop some, as far as I was told by Taiwanese, poorer Fisher Village area to some industrial, latest and greatest high-tech area. Leader in global innovation, but of course they always need to write this, but although there are not so many left, but against global foundries in those states infringing 25 TSMC patents by at least 40 nanometer, 28 and 40 nanometer and 12 nanometer node process. Not really sure if global foundries is using 12 nanometer, but yeah. Welcome degraver. You can rewind later, otherwise if I repeat everything the stream becomes too long. So yeah, I don't understand this tech giants. Global foundries certainly, as far as I understood, they stopped investing into the finer, smaller process nodes. I don't understand this, especially as you could see this coming, right? I don't really quite understand. You pay those lawyers hundreds, thousands, if not millions for these cases. And well, they certainly want to make money, so they want a lawsuit, the lawyers. But is it not obvious that if you sue a large mega corporation, you get sued back for this patent knowledge? This, by the way, fun fact, exactly why patents are worthless and should probably be, for the most part, 99%-ish stopped. Pioneered the dedicated semiconductor foundry model, enabling entire fabless IC design industry worth hundreds of billions dollars. Yeah, whatever, doesn't really have much. It's of course marketing speech that of course has nothing to do with this patents, but yeah. I think actually the fun fact is TSMC probably sues Global Foundries now over more patents that Global Foundries is suing TSMC, but that probably, anyway, just some in similar, not amazing news. Here's a Oracle lawsuit still ongoing, and here's some tech dirt blog or news opinion site by someone named Mike Mesnick. And so he's commenting here, top Oracle lawyer attempting to gaslight entire software community, insist APIs are executable. And you need to be a little bit careful because in the quotes, so this is of course, he writes here executable, but in the headline, this is of course not, they write here source code, typical source instructions. So let's see, the case concerns the copyrightability of computer code to induce a computer to perform a function. A performer must give the computer written instructions. Typically, those instructions are written in source code, which consists of words, numbers, and symbols, particular programming language, which has its own syntax and semantics. The source code is then converted into binary object code, ones and zeros, that are readable by the computer. It is both firmly established and undisputed in this case that computer code can be copyrighted as a literary work. Something here, whatever, copyright whatsoever section. Computer program is a set of statements, instructions used by directly or indirectly in a computer in order to bring about certain result. And computer program, where is this now? Where is even API written? Anyway, this is a little bit unfortunate that I don't have here the. It is undisputed fact that Java API is executable, and it means maybe this is. Anyway, this is of course super dangerous because actually this is really hard to cite here with those details, especially if you don't have the exact court cases. But one thing, even if it's slightly, certainly quite an edge case to decide. Certainly APIs are not executable per se. However, they certainly are part of source code. But no matter, but leave me in the comments below what you think. But one issue is, of course, there are two issues. One issue is it is written source code, even though the API are only the function names and parameters and arguments and such details, it's still source code, even though it doesn't include execution. It's certainly, I would want to argue like, hey, just like stop the stupid lawsuit, because it certainly can gaslight the entire software industry. But the argument is not as easy as it's like, yeah, it's not copyrightable bullshit. So, I mean, this is an extremely difficult case, and it's really a pity that companies, just for the pure greed, needs to make such law cases, because if Oracle has here any more success, which already they had, unfortunately, too much success in this code. They also see the one judge could program, or even took the time to sit down and program, and a previous judge in a previous court ruled that APIs are not copyrightable for such kind of fair use reasons. That is, of course, a question. Can APIs be copyrightable, but is it still fair use? Because this has consequences over not only Java and Android, but certainly Wine and other Unix kind of kernel situations, ReactOS, and basically Haiku BOS reimplementation, and basically everything, and certainly fair use, right? If you have like a big stuff like Microsoft, Apple, for example, someone maybe eventually wants to make a reimplementation of macOS, or financial APIs, you interface to banking software, and then some payment providers use you for using their API in non-royalty paid ways. Yeah, so certainly super annoying stuff that we have to deal in the software industry, not only with software patents where mathematic algorithms are patented, like MP3 patent and all the video codec patents that hinder open source and free software due to not being able to ship this. You can implement this privately, but as soon as you ship this somewhat in pre-compiled form, then is my understanding, well, but I'm not a lawyer, but at least it's my understanding, if you implement this at home, it's something patented like S3 texture compressing or all this other fun stuff. If you do this at home for your own fun, not much patent infringement lawsuit there, but as soon as you ship this, is my, but don't hold me accountable for that, your mileage may vary. And that is certainly why there was MP3 library stuff, but big distributions like Red Hat and SUSE and all of them did not ship them. So that is why until a couple of years ago, Linux distributions usually didn't have MP3 support and other similar support like that. Yeah, let's see, welcome there. Streaming during the evening, do you have vacation or something? No, we have lunch break, and want to try different stream times. Need to finish some other work though. Want to give other people to give a chance to tune in. But you see, we don't have, just look on my commit activity stuff, committing weekends, nights, you name it. You're not supposed to run several VM hosts on the same machine, so to try to break the rules and use one VNC etc. Not drag and drop from the host. What you're talking about? Everything volatile, so change must be pushed, stored on what? Anyway, in similar news, Benedict Evans here wrote here about new productivity. We are allegedly, apparently, according to his blog post here, in the middle of a wave of interesting new productivity software startups. There are dozens of companies that remix some combinations of list tables, charts, task notes, lightweight databases, form some kind of collaboration, chat or information sharing. And then we have another wave of product companies that address particular profession bundles, Frame.io for video professionals, Move version tracking, reviewing commands around the work, Everlow, Lawyer Move to discovery process, handling, reviewing. And there's also, I see on YouTube myself, the stupid advertisements for, well, not only Wix, but Monday.com and similar annoying ads that you certainly should watch on my channel. But my point is, why do I include this? This is exactly the vendor login that I'm not thrilled about. I would usually just use a text file, and I also don't quite understand what is wrong with people. Although I understand startup industry desperately needs to make money, because certainly with open source and stuff like Docker and operating systems, you can't make money. So you make stupid to-do lists like Wunderlist and to-do and whatnot. All these apps that I always wondered, why the heck do people even bother with this? Nothing better than a plain old text file that you can use everywhere, from Vim to Emacs or Google Cloud or whatever. And nothing better than text files and some fine spreadsheets. And you can't port this stuff, right? I mean, you're totally vendor locked, and I really don't quite understand. People always think, oh, it's so easy. I don't know what is so easy. It's a bloody web application. I just prefer my local stuff that works if internet is flanky. By the way, fun fact today, 0 frames. And yeah, so I really wonder if that is a good development for society, being locked into cloud services, especially this like really stupid simple like Docker 200 whatever millions. Similar here, like Wunderlist. For how much did Wunderlist sell? And now Microsoft even wants to Wunderlist sale price, certainly some 100 million. I guess 200 million for a stupid from 6 Wunderkinder. Like seriously, yeah, for between 100 and 200 million for a to-do list app. Like seriously, thanks God that was not 2019. But you are totally vendor locked in, right? And also Microsoft stops this now. Allegedly now the founder even wants to buy it back. I really wonder if, certainly Microsoft did this to get the users as per usual. I'm pretty sure they might not even ever sell this back. Also, if Microsoft sells this back, for what price, right? Do the founders that want to buy it back now really have that money? If it is in the similar ballpark, it's a little bit silly, all this stuff. But again, you are vendor locked in, and if they raise the price for this stuff, or you realize it is really stupid that you pay this, well, even if it's a cheap subscription for this to-do list stuff, maybe you eventually figure that was a stupid decision. You only can copy and paste this stuff out in your browser window, and probably not some nice export stuff. Yeah, don't jinx it. What else do we have here? Actually, this is really to this Wi-Fi here, probably another live stream. Our Wi-Fi is a little bit funny. Really surprised that I have 0 frames. It works so much because of the data collection. Do you mean Wunderlist, or which you always should include some noun in there that I'm actually know what you... Welcome everyone, take up next. Yeah, so certainly this was worth so much. Well, it was not worth so much to me, but certainly somehow for Microsoft. And as Microsoft spends so much money, it can most likely only be for the user data, like for the potential, just for the potential to lure those to do Wunderlist, what was it even, Wunderlist, to lure those Wunderlist people into Microsoft services, like gradually migrate them, certainly just like they did also with other services and Skype and whatnot. In similar news, we had this here previously already, this legit looking iPhone cables that HackU will be mass produced and sold. We had this in previous months, like 2 or 3 months ago. Someone on Twitter there who I follow developed this. So yeah, this is also, why do I include this? First of all, we have new subscribers, which is amazing. Second of all, that you are aware that you can't even trust cables, right? 2019 here in this case, you certainly can include filled in with plastic a nice integrated circuit, which, fun fact, Thunderbolt cables and USB 4 cables then always have this IC for signal quality bumping, like amplification and stuff. Otherwise, it's not even such a long distance in this 40 gigabit or whatever Thunderbolt 3 cables have. So Thunderbolt cables are active as far as I know. Also the previous Apple ones with mini DisplayPort connectors. So there you have it. And also, by the way, I think Lightning might also usually have an integrated circuit in there, although it is USB. I think I saw that many Lightning, or probably all Lightning cables, have a very small, like 2 by 2 millimeters or something, or 3 by 3 millimeters, so really tiny SMC chip in there for this Apple authentication. Actually, we could fact check that. Lightning cable IC. Yeah, just if you think I make this stuff up, no, I don't. A guide to Apple, 3-star, U2, cheap lightning cable. And this is also why they can selectively block cables, right? Is that even Rossmann? No, this is not Rossmann. Anyway, there is, yeah, not making this stuff up, there is genuine M Wi-Fi, so removing plastic cover, genuine, are made for iPhone, plastic cover of metal components. I don't really think it is necessary on this, although maybe for negotiating like audio versus USB and stuff or video. But this is of course ridiculous, right? You certainly could have designed this lightning stuff so that without any integrated circuit, it is doing USB, like old-fashioned USB, that it is just on those connectors and only have active components for like audio DAC for headphones and other video output stuff. But there you see how evil Apple is. They spare no efforts to cash in as most licensing fees as they can here for made for iPhone cables. It's hilarious. And this is of course the consequences, right? Yeah, you can have this for your specking and high cables. Certainly Secret Services do this for years already, and now you can buy them themselves. And yeah, they have been previously on Twitter, and now as a single produced or yeah, handmade couple of bunch for some security conference. Now you have them also readily available for your spy stuff purchase. Also, why did this pop up? Probably there. I have the feeling sometimes here this track point randomly clicks. And last but not least, the rest here is only fact checking. Pager service to end Tuesday in Japan after 50 years. Oh, we will miss it so much. But how can this stuff be still in operation? Also, certainly out in the wilderness and stuff, it's probably the only benefit of pager stuff, of course, it works so far distance with this extremely simple protocol. And yeah, let's put IC cables. Let's possibly go wrong before I have nothing to hide, people. Skype sucks these days. Voice about GitHub. Yeah, me too. This is why some open source projects already migrated to GitLab. We can actually finish our fact checking here for what would it have been? Less boot. This was something of this old-fashioned feature that I mentioned earlier. Was what? It was probably seccomp, right? Is it probably seccomp? Lightweight process isolation. This might have been, yeah, exactly, I think. So 2005 long, yeah, also, yeah, give you this credit card live on YouTube. It's hilarious. Wikipedia swims in money and they need to harass their users for donating more. And then, you know what, I would even donate if they would not have deleted our T2 article. So thank you very much for deleting T2 for unsuccessful moment distribution. It would not surprise me if the Debian people triggered them. So yeah, I donate to you from my unsuccessful open source money to have my T2 Linux article deleted. Yes, obviously. But yeah, this was, there you see, long before Docker. And nowadays even used for your secure shell daemon process isolation. Initially here by Andrea Arcangeli, sandboxing 2005, so that is 15 years old. By the way, this coffee is disgusting. This comes from making other people coffee. How can people drink this? Oh my god. Anyway, and merged mainline 2612, and initially I think he was even thinking to have here some kind of selling even unused desktop Linux CPU cycles, so like a little bit like folding at home, where people could log in and donate their CPU cycles. This was a similar attempt to maybe making money with this stuff, as far as I know. which returns a number. In some kernel versions, seccomp disables that for high precision. Extension to seccomp allows filtering system calls using configured policy. Yeah, Android uses this. Systemd, system call filter, Docker, and even secure shell, yeah, OpenSSH, LXD, all this fun stuff, Flatpak, you name it. And so not even that is, I would even surprised maybe this Docker people, but leave me in the comments below, have they contributed anything to the Linux kernel? Maybe not, because seccomp was here already, C groups namespaces probably all has been there already, so maybe they patched something, but maybe not much. And sell, rent, lease, no. Can we find fact check for Linux sec conf sell CPU time? As far as I know, that was, yeah, securely renting out your CPU time with Linux. That was some idea. So there you see amazing startup ideas for 100, even already in 2005 when seccomp was new. But yeah, Andrea Arcangeli working on a project called CPU Share. Not too uninteresting idea theoretically. Certainly much cooler cloud and maybe even more environmentally friendly than building data centers when all of those machines would share their CPU cycles. The only problem, of course, Spectre, Meltdown and all the other bugs in between, the not speculative but regular monolithic one address space kernel bugs. But second of all, you sit at your workstation and it gets hot and stuff, or especially laptops, right? But yeah, getting hot in your airport lounge just because you rent your CPU cycles. But yeah, you could certainly do this selectively, and yeah, probably there are many good reasons except speculation and one kernel, one address space security vulnerabilities why it hadn't taken off. What do we... yeah, that's probably that for this live stream. I hope you learned something. The biggest takeaway certainly is that not only Docker burned lots of money, they are not even profitable. The same for this vwork that cancelled. We made this fun of this yeah, Executable making more profit than vwork. There you have it, or apparently even Docker, because we are profitable. And vwork cancelled their IPO. So that was not only allegedly, but defaults maybe next after failed IPO. So ill-fated IPO allegedly. So probably we can't get sued for our critical live stream, which only pointed out alleged news. But yeah, there you have that for all this what we quoted here as amazing, successful as that. Hope you learned something. Hope to see you soon for all the next streams to come. For 300 million, by the way, if you are a venture capitalist and want to build a operating system startup and you have 300 million, let's build a fine microkernel. Maybe even we find ways to make it more profitable than Docker or vworks. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon for all the next live streams, videos and fun stuff to come.